who need his advice and assistance.
Poignant moment, alas, Julia will come. Dr. Nicht reden English. Darf ich reden Yiddish? And I must tell you, sometimes there's an inspirational moment. Once in 55 in the... Years ago, one of my teachers reminded me of an old Hasidic saying, as foregoing one's freedom, to possess his own 1,300 or more of our men and women from abroad and our growing numbers from Israel itself. On the dais was the president.
May I say at the outset of my remarks that you're in a country which is united and convinced and strong and hopeful and prepared and peaceful, in spite of all the other reports that you may read in the papers or watch on television. Are supplying us with arms. Will America replace it? The Russians are giving us money. Will America give as much? The Russians are supporting our point of view and just our point of view and nobody else. Would America do it? The answer, I believe, is certainly not. But then when you think a little bit more, you can see that in spite of the fact that the Russians provided the Arabs with arms worth $21 billion over the last 15 years, they never won a war. Arms that don't win wars are waste and not arms. The Russians supplied them with money. It never saved the Arab societies. The Russians supported them politically and drove them, time and again, to a corner without escape, without alternative, without progress. America certainly, so I hope, cannot do it and will not do it. But if America will be instrumental in reaching an agreement between the Egyptians and ourselves, the Egyptians won't have to spend so much money on arms because they won't be at war. They won't have to waste so much money. They won't need it for military purposes. They won't have to be put in a corner because they can embark upon a middle road. And once the Egyptians will devote their energies, will concentrate their minds on the Egyptian problem, which is a real one and a grave one, a poor country giving birth to 1 million babies every year, why should is a surrender to terrorism, is a bend to radicalism in the Arab world. And yet I believe that this is again a passing turn. The Arab world sank again into the Palestinian problem. The Palestinian people were obliged again to follow a Palestinian extremity. And the Palestinian extremity is governed by terroristic people. And the heads of the terrors are competing among themselves. Who is the most violent? Who is the most radical among them? This is a hopeless proposition, not just for us, but first and foremost for the Arab people themselves, for the people who live in between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. I know that we have to answer the claim of Arafat in rather logical terms not because he represents logic and peace, but because we are obliged to speak in a sensible way. We must explain why do we refuse to see in him a representative of the Palestinian people. Why can't we accept the idea that he is a political light in the making of the United Nations? And the answer, I believe, to it is made of 3 points. First of all, we must set correctly the perspectives of conflict between us and the Arab countries. Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask myself without any emotions, would the Jewish people have 20 create an Arab state instead of Israel and a Palestinian state instead of Jordan? What he is saying to the United Nations is that he wants to create the so-called secular and democratic state all over Israel and all over Jordan. And I wonder, the Arabs do have 20 states. Why is none of them democratic or secular? Who stops them from being such? Where else is there a more democratic state besides Israel? Which other state is as secular as Israel is, where Muslims and Christians and Jews can live together? Where else are minorities courted and respected as in Israel? In Iraq, there are 6 million people. 2 million of them are Kurds, 1/3. They are being chased by Russian-made planes, by Russian-made tanks, by Iraqi pilots into a terrible situation. Our peace, partners that are acceptable by us. A responsible partner, King Hussein of Jordan. All of the Arabs who live on the West Bank do hold Jordanian passports, and the only worry is that King Hussein became such a popular figure in Israel that would he run for the Knesset, I'm sure he would have an easy victory. And there is a representative partner, the leaders of the Arab people who live on the West Bank. With them, we are ready and willing to negotiate. With them, we are ready and willing to reach an agreement, respectful to them, taking into consideration not the fact that we cultivate the same land, but that we maintain different traditions. We shall respect their difference as we shall offer the equality to all the people, no matter Jews or Arabs. Time will come, and maybe in the near future, that we shall be able to negotiate with them, if not with somebody else. And I can't promise you any vacation, any rest, and I know you wouldn't like to have it. We shall supply you with a great deal of difficulties, and we depend very much upon your great work in every possible aspect. Thank you.